Okay, very simple, very straightforward. You've got an on-off switch and you've got a toggle switch. If you press the on-off switch, she's on, right? Now she's on at the moment. To switch this off, all I would do, and I'll show you this at the end, you press and hold this for about 3-4 seconds. It'll come up and say Adria off, and it shuts down the whole control panel, okay? If you're using the van and you're just going out for the day, just leave this. And it's same as if you're running, all you're doing is switching on off all your systems, but that control panel stays on if you're actually running the van, okay? What you've got across the top is you've got external temperature, internal temperature. It's telling us we're hooked up to 230, okay, and it's on. This also indicates that we're hooked to 230 as well, so that's giving us, that's telling the panel's on and we're hooked to 230. This one here, it's off, is for the on and light. Okay. Now your on and light, you have got an on and light switch down in here. It says I'll take the plastic off it. You can see how fresh it is. So if I put the on and light on, see, on and off. Okay, and I'll show you, you can work it from the panel as well. But that's your on and light. Your other light here is for putting on your upper lights. And what you can do is put them on and hold it, and it dims them down.
Okay, that's good.
And you switch them off, switch it back on, it comes back on, fully bright again. Okay. So down at the bottom is just telling us we're hooked up. This will come up with a battery percentage when you're not on hookup, so it'll give you an indication of what your leisure battery's doing if you're not on hookup. This one here is telling us how much water's in the fresh water tank. That is your waste tank, and this one here is for your pump, for your water pump. Okay. How to work everything, what we've got is all your switches down the side. So you've got your on-off switch, as I said to you. This one here, if you touch this one, it gives you a battery status. So it's telling us what the battery status is for the car and for the habitation, okay? So for the van side of it, it's sitting at 14.19, 14.51. Now it's going to sit higher because we're on hookup. It's actually reading off the charger. So if you want to know what your battery's doing, you wouldn't have it hooked to electric. Just come in, switch on the panel, press that one, and it'll give you a reading on your batteries. And what you can do is you can do that, and it'll tell you this is off the charger. If you weren't off the charger, it would tell you what's coming off the battery. Okay, so just so you're aware. Okay, so that's your battery. This one here is telling you just a bigger version of the bottom one, so it's telling you what's in your fresh and waste tanks, but just pressing the water one. Okay, and the return arrow just takes you back to your start again.
So back to the water.
You've got your water readings are down here.
That's it, yeah.
But you can press it and it'll give you a bigger,
a bigger,
yeah, so you can see it clearer. That's all it is. Okay. Up in here is for your lights, and this switches on and off your internal lights. So the moment they're all on, or you've got, this is for your on and light as well, so you can put your on and light on and light off, and it works in conjunction with this one as well. If you do that, you'll see it tells you on and off as well. Okay, so that allows you to put the on and light on and light off. This one here is internal lights, and what that does, if you put that off, it puts out all your lights. Switch it back on and it'll switch on some of the lights that are on, but the front one, because this is on you have to switch that one separately. Okay, but that is basically for your lights. The next one down is just telling you external, internal temperatures. Okay, pretty straightforward. And that's just the same reading as what you're getting across the top, but it's like the battery one, it just gives you, and it's like the water one, it just gives you a bigger indication of it. That's all it is. This one here is settings, and what you've got is you've got a few different settings in here. Very simple. Auxiliary, leave that off. You don't have an auxiliary panel, so just leave that one off. If you press it, it just says on or off, but leave that one off. Panel backlight speaks for itself. You can brighten the backlight. Okay, that's what that's for. Screen timeout, at the moment I've set it for an hour. You can change it down to a minimum's 10 seconds, but if you do 10 seconds, it just means the screen will go blank. It goes dark after 10 seconds, as we saw when we came in, and all you do is press a button and it'll come back on again. Okay. Time and date speaks for itself, so you go in here and you can change the time and date. So all you do is press it again, and you'll see you can change your hours, cross into your minutes, and then turn it and then change your year, your month, and your day. Okay, and then you can change it to AM, PM if you prefer that, then 24 hour, and then you can change it to the American way. Okay, but that's your time and date. Very simple. Temperature sensor offset. What you can do is you can offset, if it tells you it's 19 degrees inside the van and it's actually only 20, you can offset it by a degree. Okay. Oh, okay, yeah. But there's no offset set normally. And if you're starting to play with offset, and watch how I say this, you need to get out more. Okay. Battery. It just tells us you can switch it between a life. This is a lithium or AGM, and because it's AGM, it's switched to AGM for you. So there's nothing you need to worry about that one. And about control to panel, just tells us the serial number, tells us the panel version and the software version. Okay.
Okay.
And these panels get regular updates, and when they do come in, we can just do it for you when it's in for service. Or if they give us an immediate panel update, we'll let you know, and you can do it yourself. It's very simple to do. If you need to do it yourself, I can send you the instructions. All you need is an SD card. And all you would do is, if I give you the instruction, you go and put your SD card into your computer, download the software on the SD card, and then all you do is on the back of this panel, it just comes off, panel comes out. You will find in here, very simple, you've got an SD card slot, you slot the SD card in, and all you do is switch off all the power, switch on the power, and hold the light button. And this is all explained in it if I have to tell you about that. If you need to do it, if you're not sure, you just bring it in and we'll do it for you. Or if you're on site, we can nip down and do it for you. It's not a problem. Okay, but that's this is the great thing about these control panels, because they're actually held in with springs. It's you know the roof lights you get fitted in the house.
Yeah.
Well, that's basically what they're similar to. So it makes life so much easier for getting the panel in and out. There's no screws. You're not damaging screw heads or anything. Very simple, very straightforward. And that's your control panel.
Yeah, you've got a panel next to it telling you
This is your heating and hot water.
Oh, that's the hot water.
Yeah,
I thought it
this
was
is
the
your
time and.
No, this is your heating and hot
temperature
water, and this is
outside.
where you're going to be playing, because you're going to make sure the time on here stays the same as on here, and you might find that the one will change quicker than the other, but you can play about with that. There you go, they're almost within a few seconds of each other. You just saw that change there as well. This is your Truma combi system. What it is you've got a combi boiler, and it's under this seat here. Okay.
Yeah.
It's a combined boiler, so it does heating and hot water together. And now the great thing about a combi is combis are designed, I don't know if you've got a combi at home in your house, but if you've got a combi boiler at home, a lot of people don't realise this, but if you demand extra hot water, so if you're at home and you switch on your shower, then it switches off your heating, and this system does the same. So if you're demanding more hot water, it switches off the heating.
Okay.
But it's very simple, very straightforward to work. So your first icon is your heating icon, the second icon is your hot water, this is your power source, and then your fan speed. Okay, this one tells us we're hooked up to 230, so it works in conjunction with these two on here as well. Okay, so this is telling us we're hooked up to 230, and it jumps between time and the temperature I've got preset for the van. That's not the heat inside the van, that is what I've got it set to run at. So if it drops below 19 degrees, the heating will come on. Okay. To change anything,
Yeah, I was going to, sorry, I'm biting in.
yeah, no, to change anything, you've got a Pressel switch in the middle. If you press this Pressel switch, you'll see it opens other icons, and if you turn it, you see it flashes each icon individually, so you can go down whatever you want to do. The first time you press it, the first one it flashes is the panel van. You press that again, and that is your internal temperature inside the van. So you can then go up in degree increments up to a maximum of 30. You can turn it down to a minimum of 5. Or you can switch your heating off. Whatever you set your heating at, as soon as you're happy with it, press it to confirm it.
Okay.
Okay, if you don't press to confirm, it'll just default back to where it was before. You'll usually find, you'll find that around about 19 to 20 degrees is more than sufficient. You might find it maybe too warm for the size of van, you might turn it down, but you play about with that. And the good thing about this, unlike your whale system, this you're actually setting the temperature, so if you want it 19, it will keep a minimum of 19. Okay. It's a dual fuel system as well, so it works on gas and electric, so that's great. So if you're on hookup, you're running it off electric. If you're not on hookup, you just run it off gas.
Yeah.
Okay.
Even the fridge?
The fridge works off is purely electric. It's pure 12 volt electric. It's
So
a
you
compressor.
can't go off grid then?
Yeah, you can, but the fridge works off your leisure battery, because it works off the leisure battery. It's what's called a compressor fridge.
Okay.
So for your heating, so that's your heating system. For your hot water, if you go into hot water, you can you'll see the icon at the top changes to tell you what you've got it on. If you switch it off, the icon disappears. Eco is 40 degrees, hot is 60 degrees, and you've got boost. If you put it on boost, what it'll do is it'll heat to a maximum of 62 degrees, but it will shut down your heating when it's on boost. So if you see it saying boost up there, your heating's off. And what it's now doing is just putting all its effort into heating the hot water for you. So it means that you're not going to get any you're not going to get any heating while it's on boost. The great thing, if you want to shower in the van or use extra hot water, stick it on boost, and it'll heat it a lot quicker for you as well, because it's purely just heating water rather than heating the van as well. Okay. After 40 minutes, it'll shut itself back down to just a normal hot water again. I would invariably say to run it on hot because Eco's too cold. It's only 40 degrees. Yeah, hot 60 degrees is more than sufficient for cleaning and for, you know, for keeping bacteria out the tanks and that as well. Okay. The next one along is your power source. And what you've got is you've got 2 electric sources purely on 230. So if you're on hookup, you're going to use electric 1 or electric 2, and you'll see the icon changes at the top. Okay. Electric 1 and electric 2 is roughly 1 and 2 kilowatt of power. The more kilowatt, the quicker it heats. That's all it is. You know, so if you've got it on 2, it'll heat quicker. If you've got it on 1 and you set it at 19 degrees, it'll still heat to 19. Just take a wee bit longer to get to 19. Okay. So that's your power source. The other thing you can do is you can go into what's called mix 1 and mix 2. And you'll see that mixing. And what that does, if I put it on mix 2, that's now going to use gas and electric to heat, and you'll find that that will be more efficient and it'll heat a lot quicker. So if you've got to get somewhere, if you've been out all day and you come back and the van's cold and you want the van to heat up quickly, stick it on mix 2 and within a couple of minutes the van will be roasting hot for you. So it's as quick as that. Okay, it is very good at heating. If you're not on hookup, you just run it purely on gas, and this is for your heating and hot water only, and it'll just run on gas. And if you switch it on to gas, it just means it's going to operate purely on gas. Okay. And then when you change again, you can just go back to electric 1 or electric 2. Fan speed, leave it on eco. You can put it on high, but if you stick it on high, you will hear the fan running. Eco just means it's running quietly in the background for you. And it's more than, if the only time I'd ever put it on high, if you came back to the van and it was freezing cold, just turn the heating on, you want the van to heat up quickly, you stick it on high, it'll blow the warm air around quicker. That's all it'll do. Okay. This one down here is timer. I'm going to come back to this in a second, but the next one along the clock face allows you to change the clock, just exactly what you were doing on there. So all you do is change your hours, change your minutes. When you're happy, press it to confirm it. Right, timer. This is good for playing about with. If you're going to go to bed at night, I don't know about yourself, but I don't like a warm room to sleep in, so you want it to be... So what you can do with this is you can set yourself a nighttime temperature and use the timer. So what you do is you go into timer, and by default it's at 0. Okay. What we'll do is we'll set a night time. So let's set 10 o'clock at night. So usually I say to folk, usually about an hour and a half before you go to bed, have the van cooling down. So let's set it for 10 o'clock tonight. And you're going to get up at 7:30 tomorrow. So let's set half an hour before you're due up. Let's set it for 7 o'clock in the morning. And then an overnight temperature, I always say around about 12 to 14 degrees is a comfortable overnight temperature. Anything colder than that would be too chilly, anything more than that would be too warm. So let's go 14 degrees. Leave the hot water off because you don't need the hot water running overnight. If you're on hookup, turn it down to its lowest setting, so electric 1. If you're not on hookup, if you're on gas, you can run it on gas. Wherever it is, you press that. Leave the fan speed on eco because you just want it to run in the background and switch it on. Now you'll see the timers appeared up in here. So what will happen is 10 o'clock tonight, we're running at 19 degrees inside the van. At 10 o'clock tonight, the heating will kick out. It'll drop down in temperature. If it drops below the 14 that I've got set, the heating will come on overnight.
Kick on automatically, that's good,
So it means you've got a minimum temperature overnight of 14 degrees inside the van. At 7 o'clock tomorrow morning, if it's sitting at 14 degrees at 7 o'clock and you've got your daytime set at 19, it'll then bring the van back up to 19 degrees. So by the time you get out your bed, you're back up to 19 degrees. Okay, and it'll keep doing that until you switch the timer off. And the way to switch the timer off is just go back into timer and switch it off, and you'll see the timer disappears. If you go back and switch it back on again, it'll default to the last time. So if 10 o'clock at night's a fine time for you, you can leave it. If you want to maybe, the following night you're maybe going to your bed later and you want to change that, you could change it. Or if you want to cool it down quicker, you could change that down, so whatever. But it'll always default back. The only way it won't default back to the time is if you do a reset on the panel. It'll go back to 0 again. Okay.
Brilliant.
So, the last but not least, on here you've got your settings, and this is just for going into adjust your settings. The first one is offset, and that allows you to offset the temperature down to a minimum 5. It's a bit like this one up in here, but you're never going to do it. Temperature, you can have centigrade or Fahrenheit. Brightness does exactly what it says, it brightens up the screen if you want the screen brighter or darker. 12 and 24 hour, you can go AM, PM if you don't like, so you can do 12 and 24 hour. Language, this is where you can give it a swearing in German, French or Italian, but we'll leave it in English for now. Index is just telling us what the system's set up at the background, and the most important button is reset button. Press that, it says are you sure, press it again, and it'll take it all back to factory settings for you.
Okay.
Excellent.
Okay, And it's the only time you're going to do a reset is if you mess it up. Now, what I always recommend for a Truma combi system is you're on site. You've been set up overnight. So the morning you're going away in the van that morning, and you've decided, right, I'm going to set everything down. So you get up, make your breakfast, but before you actually switch everything off, before you switch off the control panel, before you take out your 230 electrics, my advice to you is you come in here and you go into your heating and switch your heating off. Go into hot water and switch your hot water off, so the panel goes blank.
Okay.
Leave that off for about 15 minutes while you tidy up the rest of the van and start packing stuff away. And then when you're ready to go, then when you switch everything off, the heater's had its chance to cool down.
Okay.
Because what a lot of folk do is the heater's, blasting away hot, and then all of a sudden they pull the plug on it and the heating goes, oh, I don't like this. And then it just goes into failure. So
okay.
I always ask is switch it off and leave it off. Then when you go away and come back, when you come back to the site again at night, connect everything up, you can switch your heating and all that back on again.
Ideal.
Okay. Happy enough with that?
Yep.
Yeah. Just the hot water. Is it best to, if we only want it for like washing our hands and that, like in the other one, we just used to turn it on when we want it, or sometimes we'd leave it on. So can you turn it off and on when you just want a little bit?
You can do.
I know you said about the boost, but
you can turn your hot water on and off if you like.
Put it on
At the moment, it's off. You can put it on hot, and then if you're not using it, switch it off again.
Okay. Yeah.
But what you will find, because it's a combi boiler, if your heating is on, you'll find that the hot water will be warm anyway, because the boiler's the system is heating up the tank as well. So you will find that even if your hot water switched off, but you've got your heating on and your heating's blasting away inside the van, if you turn on your hot tap, you'll find there's hot water there. Okay, and that's nothing to worry about. That's just because it's a combi boiler. It's heating what's in the tank. Okay.
That's great.
Yeah.
Simple. It is. It really is. This panel as well, so easy to work. So don't panic about it. Don't worry about it. Just go through it.
Yeah.
The most important thing is I'll show you at the end is how to switch it on and off. And all you do is press and hold that button, and it'll switch off. And then to switch it back on, just press it, and it should come on almost instantly. Okay.